Joey T. Welcome to Fat Belongs to the Lord, the show chronicling a journey out of shame, fear, and deceit and into the light of His glorious grace. This is episode 1. Basically, I've been a tremendously fat person my whole entire life, since I was like probably 12 or 13. And I just was reading the Bible, reading the good book. Came to some conclusions that the fat really does belong to the Lord. Why am I carrying so much of it? So this is episode 1. We'll be talking a lot about Jesus and a lot about nachos, two of my very favorite things. So fat belongs to the Lord. I named this Fat Belongs to the Lord because in Leviticus 3:16, everyone's, favorite passage, I'm sure, it says that all fat is the Lord's. And so in Leviticus 3, it's, describing painstakingly sometimes in the book of Leviticus, all these specific sacrifice procedures and protocols and what to do and how to do. And I was just reading through Leviticus, and this struck me. When I read this verse, I'd read it, many times before in my life and never really thought anything of it. But for whatever reason, this time, God wanted me to hone in on this verse. And it says, the full verse, "And the priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering with a pleasing aroma. All fat is the Lord's." Because in the previous verses it was describing, all the fat of the kidney and all these things you'd put on the altar for a peace offering. And so it just hit me, and I really feel like it was just God, I don't know, speaking, maybe? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe God does that still. But it really felt like God was saying, the fat belongs to the Lord, right? So if the fat belongs to the Lord, why are you keeping so much of it? And I just been thinking on that and thinking on that and thinking on that. And it just stuck with me no matter what I was reading in the Word or just anything I was doing throughout my days. I was just thinking about that. The fat belongs to the Lord. Of course, and we're not under the sacrificial system anymore where we have to, go once a year and bring a spotless lamb or anything. Thankfully, Jesus has provided that for us. And so when He lived His perfect life and, wrongfully put up on false charges and executed for crimes He didn't even commit, taking on all of our sin, all of our shame, and not staying dead, of course, right? But rising from the dead, conquering Satan, sin and death in one swoop. Jesus is in our place, and so luckily we don't have to make the trek every so often to go make these offerings. But still, Scripture does talk about our bodies being a living sacrifice. We have life verses I've memorized forever and ever. 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And I had not been eating and drinking to the glory of God. As I said, I've lived my life as a significantly overweight person. Very, very, very large. At my highest weight, it was in the 350 pounds. I am 6 feet 1.5 inches tall. I will cling on to that half. I wish I was 6'2", but I'm 6 feet 1.5. I mean, technically with rounding, whole numbers, I'd be 6'2", but I'm 6 1.5. My goal as a kid was to be 6'8". Didn't get there. Scottie Pippen was 6'8", and that was my dream, was to be Scottie Pippen. But when I was 6 foot 1.5 and slow and really fat, those dreams went away. Back on topic, I will rabbit trail like crazy. Just, you gotta live with it. Eating and drinking to the glory of God. I'm sure, all great and good and faithful followers of Jesus. The moment I got that revelation from the Lord, I procrastinated. I kept on putting it off. I kept on just kind of thinking about it. I was a little too afraid to really, really try to give all my fat to the Lord. As you might imagine, over the years, lots of ideas and lots of plans, lots of diets, lots of well wishes, lots of advice, lots of books read, lots of ketos and paleos, and I didn't do that whole eat elk every single day one, but I would have been open to it if I knew how to kill elk like that. But really, I just been thinking, fat belongs to the Lord. The fat belongs to the Lord. I was just running from it, and I was afraid. I was afraid to really face. I mean, for many years of my life, and the reason why I say my highest, biggest weight was 354 pounds is I probably could have been even more at sometimes, but I've spent a lot of my life being very afraid of the mirror and very afraid of scales, because If you don't look in the mirror and you never step on a scale, you don't gotta do anything. You can just pretend you're big boned or husky, as opposed to what really shocked me on my medical chart when I saw it one day. It said morbidly obese, and I was like, I'm not morbidly obese. I'm just a little big. I'm thick. I'm chunky. I'm not morbidly obese, but medically speaking, I was, and still am actually. So the days went on, the weeks went on, and I started to steel myself. Started to really talk to God about this fat belonging to the Lord, and just say, okay, God, even though I've tried so many times, I need to face this. I need to face this. I'm 42, so no one's still my identity. I just told you my height, my weight, and my age. So I guess don't steal my identity, but I'm 42. Again, my Scottie Pippen days are pretty close to being over. It's been time for a long time, but I kept on just trying to play this thing out. How would it work? How could the fat belong to the Lord? Again, lots of prayer, lots of just avoiding it, but also bringing it back up to God, and avoiding it and bringing it back up to God. And finally, a plan kind of came to me. And so my birthday was approaching, and I was like, you know what? For my birthday, I want me and my wife to lose 33 pounds before Christmas. And so there was enough time to do that. My birthday was, about 3 months ago or so. Between spring to Christmas, I wanted to give myself a birthday present and a Christmas gift of me and my wife losing 33 pounds. 33 is the perfect number, as you all probably know, and so I thought that'd be good. And with that amount of time, that would be a pretty healthy way to do it. I've been around this whole weight loss thing for quite a while, to where you don't want to do it too fast, only because it won't be sustainable. And so I was trying to really think of what would be sustainable. Here was the plan. One thing that is really true about me is I am very competitive. I'm beyond competitive. I want to always win. I mean, whatever it is, I want to win. If it's games, cards, whatever sporting event, anything, I like to win. I'm very competitive. I wanted to kind of gamify losing weight, if you will. I made a really cool spreadsheet with all these kind of conditional formattings, and this happens if this happens and all that. Charted out the weeks until Christmas. I wanted to hopefully lose a pound a week or so, just to make sure I was healthy and everything. And one thing that really, probably more than anything, has contributed to being a super fat person and also maintaining that super fatness is a lot of secret eating. So even though maybe I would eat what looks like maybe a balanced day, I would find times to pig out, to overeat, to get some fast food, chips, all the likely foibles that we fall into. So the first part of the plan was truly no more secret eating. Make your plan every night. So every night for the next day, of course, make the food plan. Prioritizing protein and veggies. This isn't secret sauce here, I mean, nutrition is a little bit, known, right? So if you eat more veggies and more meats and less of fats and all that stuff, and usually it produces good outcomes. And if you eat proportionately, right? So if I'm eating by myself, I don't need to have 8 tacos from Jack in the Box. What if I just had 2? That might be good. And so proportionate eating, meats and veggies priorities, and just having a plan, factoring in all of the kind of parties and festivals and things we get ourselves into. So if it's an important family dinner, then yeah, eat the family dinner. Eat the burgers, eat the fries. You don't have to have like 4 burgers. You can have 1 burger and, pile of fries, whatever. And so every night we would tell each other, me and my wife would tell each other our food plan, and this is probably key, of course, we would pray over that, and we would say, okay, let's give this to God, right? If all of the fat belongs to the Lord anyway, let us give our whole entire meal plan to the Lord. And of course, obviously, on the next day, when you're actually in the real day of it, you pray continuously as things arise, as you're tempted, as you see foods that aren't on your plan maybe around you, or you maybe have, for me, I have a car, I have a job, I can go to Mickey D's and get multiple hot and spicy chickens if I so desired, right? But as those temptations come, and as I might see a great deal on TV, and ooh, I want to try that new thing from Taco Bell, you have to just really pray and say, God, here's my plan for the day. He is faithful. I want to chronicle this, tell you a little bit about this plan. It took quite a while to even put any of this out there because still dealing with the shame and the fear, being really, really fat, and I do think my body weight is an issue where God can bring healing. I don't have to live in shame and fear about what I look like and my body weight and my health. Even if I get to some ideal body weight, I'm not doing it for like Ovaltine ads or anything like that. I'm still gonna kind of be a dude with the big old head and probably look a little ogreish, which is totally fine. But I think the health part might be super important. If everything is supposed to be done to the glory of God, then certainly that would be my eating and drinking, right? So I call this kind of corny joke, I call it GodZempic. And so the plan is make your meal plan for one day. That's very key. I should have said that probably. This is a 1 day plan. So just for the next day, just ask God, I need your grace and your mercy for 1 day. That's what I've been doing. I can't make a whole big month plan. I can't make a year plan. I fail at those. I don't have the strength for that. But I believe I could, with God's help, of course, I can do 1 day of a meal plan. And it's always just 1 day. I'm just asking God for just 1 day of sticking to a food plan, no secret eating, and that's what I do, and I call that GodZempic. And so with GodZempic, God will help me. I'm on week 12. I don't know my exact starting weights, but I think it was around 315 pounds. And after 12 weeks of GodZempic, I'm at 279.2 pounds. And so every Sunday night, me and my wife do a weigh-in, and it's fun. We made like a little game out of it. Like I have a little spreadsheet, and we get to see the numbers change, and it's been really cool. Another part of this plan, of course, is some level of movement. And so for me, I've had athletic adjacent leanings and tendencies over the years. I still have the old man, basketball game, the 18-footer. My body is so hurt and broken down from just years of injury and car crashes and things like that, that really what I can really do is I can walk. And that's about what I can really do. I can't get super crazy into the weights really. So far, I haven't. Maybe with a trainer or something I could, but just with me and God, all I can do is just walk. And so my goal is to walk at least an hour every day, which has been really fun, actually. It's been really cool to just walk around my area, pray for all the people I see, the houses I see, the places and physical spaces that I'm passing, and just ask that God would just, reveal himself to every single home I cross, every single park I cross, every single store I cross. This is all for the glory of God, right? It's all for him. So that's my plan. This is episode 1. Probably be doing this once a week. Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, something like that, depending on the schedule. I do want to chronicle this a little bit. I hope to, in future episodes, really get into some of the deeper, darker emotions of being overweight, what that feels like, what you go through when you're really, really overweight, what you do to yourself, honestly, and just how society treats you and everything that goes with it. I want to talk about this stuff that I don't really hear people talking about, especially in polite society. I'm sure there's weight loss podcasts, and I'm sure there's weight loss YouTubes, and there's obviously all kinds of workout junkie YouTube and TikToks and all that stuff. But in just real life, you don't hear people talking about fatness in any kind of healthy, good way. Sometimes you hear people, negging themselves or whatever, but I want to get really deep into it. I want to get some of the reasons why. Why are we so fat as a people, as Americans? Why was I, and why am I still so very fat? And what does that say about me. Not in a shameful way, because again, so far from trying everything, shame and self-hate doesn't actually produce results when it comes to any kind of healthy body image pursuit. Shame, self-hate doesn't work. It really doesn't. So I'm not going to try to do that. I'm not going to try to heap shame on myself or anyone else that might also be fat. But I am going to speak plainly. I am fat. That's true. But with God's help, He can get me to healthy. That's what I'm hoping for. I have a wonderful family and a wonderful community that I am a part of, and I want to do whatever part of it that is that I can do to be a part of that family community for as many days as God gives me. Again, it could all be over tomorrow, but if the Lord wills, I will be here and I will be doing GodZempic one day at a time. See you next week.